Okay, it's Mitch here. Welcome to Mind Shifting Monday with Mitch. Today's the first day of December. For those of you who are in the US, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. For me, this is an exciting day because today, or actually yesterday afternoon, my new book came out, Mind Shifting Conflict and Collaboration. And here is the QR code to find it on Amazon. Right now, the Kindle version is on sale for 99 cents, and the book itself is available for, I think, $23.99. Uh, but not that I'm asking you to wait for 24 hours, but tomorrow tonight at midnight Pacific time, 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, for the next 4 days, the book will be free on Kindle, and so you can download the book free. So if you want to buy it now on Kindle, it's 99 cents. If you want to wait till tomorrow, for the following 4 days, you'll get it free, and then it's going to go back to 99 cents. And towards the end of December, we're going to bring it back up to its normal price, which will be 9.99. So anyhow, yeah, I'm really excited. The book is broken down into really 8 different topics. It begins with, why are so many people wrong, and then we explore breaking the win lose cycles. Then the 5 styles of conflict resolution. We all default to one or two styles, but the more we become familiar with the other styles, the more able we get at being able to handle resolutions and move towards collaboration. Then we focus on conflict resolution and the difference between trying to resolve conflicts when you're in a resourceful mindset and when you're in a fight or flight mindset, and how to get into a resourceful mindset. And then the fifth chapter is on motivational interviewing, which is significantly more effective than any other method of influencing people, and explains how to use it, why it works. Then the sixth chapter is about stress, well-being, and conflict, and how the way the other person is feeling is going to dramatically affect the things that we have to do in order to try to work together and resolve a conflict. Seven is nonviolent communication, which is a way of communicating what you want in a way that doesn't threaten the person and makes it clear what you're going to be doing. And then chapter 8 is on groups and group pressure, because so often uh, what we do then you know is influenced by the groups that we belong to, trying to fit in the way the groups reward us and penalize us, and going into how that manifests, and also how to overcome or try to overcome group pressure, and is it even worth it when a person is a member of a group to try to influence them. So those are the 8 chapters that are in the book. As I said, it came out yesterday. You can download it today on Kindle for 99 cents, or wait till tomorrow, and you'll get it free for the next 4 days. So also, before I go into today's session, which is on fear and anxiety, I also let me pull this off. I do have a free download for everybody who's here, and the free download is 50 questions that change minds. And it's not just a list of the 50 questions. I worked with Kat Neeson, who basically helped me organize these questions into different topics. So some of the questions are dealing with building rapport, and then we move on to exploring the situation, and then questions that help you clarify your goals and the other person's goals, questions that allow you to identify misalignment in what the person wants and what they're doing or what they're thinking of doing, questions that lead the person to and yourself to consider alternatives, and then finally questions that commit and engage all parties in some solution, or some next actions. So this is a free download. These are 50 questions that are taken from the book, Conflict and Collaboration. So if you want to take a look at that before buying the book, you can download that now. So now, fear and anxiety, and I think for myself, uh, I was very fearful about the session. Uh, I was. It's strange, right? Because I teach classes, I speak at conferences, and yet the idea of sitting here on a live event, not really seeing the audience and talking about some subject, talking about mind shifting for 30 minutes, I was I was fearful. And if you notice, the first few sessions I had a guest on each time, and I will have guests on a number of the sessions. But a number of people persuaded me that I should try this and I should get over my fears, but I was still afraid. And I will say that the other thing I was a little bit afraid about is that when I started this session, I normally have a person in the background who's checking to make sure that everything is going okay. But um, but this time I did not see him when we started. So I started this on my own, and fingers crossed, everything goes fine. He may actually be here now, but that was one thing that was fearful. I was fearful of. The other thing about this session is that when I actually talked to my wife about, oh, and he says, and he's here now. Okay, Alvin, thank you. When I talked to my wife that I was going to be talking for 30 minutes, her statement just kind of amplified my fear. Which her statement was, Mitch, nobody is going to want to listen to you for 30 minutes. You need to have other people on these things. So the question is, when you face a fear like that, which your own saboteurs are inflaming, and when that fear is even reinforced by others, the question is, how do you overcome it? And before we go into maybe how to overcome it, the question is, I thought I'd just talk about fear and anxiety and where they come from. So, fear, anxiety, anger are all emotions that lie in our survival parts of the brain that in the books I call the limbic system. And they're very quick reactions that our brains undertake in order to keep us safe. Our brains, especially our survival parts of the brains, have to make decisions really quickly with very little information, so we know whether we have to run away, whether we have to fight, whether we should freeze or blend in. And very often those reactions are based on some assessment that there's some risk or possible pain or danger involved. Those parts of the brain are binary. They're not able to say, something, this is not the worst thing in the world. They're not able to say, this is something that's life threatening. It's either bad or it's good. And it comes to that decision in like hundredths of a second. Now, that affects our ability to do everything, because when we're reacting from a mindset of fear or anxiety, our brains get flooded with the stress hormones, cortisol and adrenaline, and that focuses our entire organism, our entire body on what the threat is. But it also, because it's focusing on the threat, reduces our ability to take in new information, to think critically, to think creatively, and to self regulate. And so, in those moments where we're feeling the fear and anxiety, we are so focused on what we think the danger is that uh, that we're not able to then think, well, something, this is not going to kill me, and this is something that's going to I'm going to learn from this, or I'm going to be able to practice something. Um, we're basically frozen and stuck in that fight or flight mode, and when we try to fight it ourselves, it comes back even stronger. So in the first book, the Stop Your Brain from Sabotaging Your Happiness and Success, we go through the three mechanisms, internal mechanisms for overcoming those saboteurs, that saboteur behavior. And those three mechanisms start s- um, with self-awareness, or what could be called metacognition, but to be aware that, oh my gosh, this is a limbic reaction. This is something uh, that my limbic brain is reacting to a situation because it's assessing it to be danger. Um, so self-awareness is the first, and then the other two follow. One being positive, possibly positive self-talk, which is talk that opens us up to other possibilities, and a second mechanism, or the third mechanism that we have is to focus on something else to distract our brain, and we can do that through things like meditation or mindfulness or going for a walk or exercise, listening to our breath. Some people do it through music. Last week I had Kevin Honeycutt on, and we talked about one technique for reducing our fear and anxiety, which was the sage perspective. And in the sage perspective, you are asking yourself these questions, or somebody else is asking you the questions. Uh, Questions like, in 5 years, are you really going to care about this? If you do this, and whether it succeeds or whether it doesn't, what are you going to learn? If you do this, whether it succeeds or it doesn't, what are you going to be able to practice? And if you do this, whether it succeeds or whether it doesn't, uh, what action are you going to take afterwards? And that action could be something that rewards yourself. And in Kevin's case, I think it was going for ribs after teaching as a substitute in an elementary school class. So that was what we did with Kevin, but the books go through a lot of different techniques that we can go through in order to calm themselves. And um, the question is, like, what did I do to calm myself? And so in order to do that, uh, I first of all, I was aware. Uh, I I knew that whether or not people came and listened, and whether or not I was actually boring people by talking for half an hour, despite um, my best intentions, um, that I was going to survive. That this really was just a limbic reaction. And then the question was, like, what? How do I calm myself down? And the first thing that I did is I did some breathing. So basically, what I did is I listened to my breath for 4 times. And so maybe I'd like to try this with you all also who are listening. Just sit back, and if you want to, you can close your eyes. I'm not going to close my eyes because I'm on camera. But sit back and relax, and as you breathe in, listen to the sound of the air coming in. And then as you breathe out, listen to the sound of the air breathing out. And now, as you breathe in, listen to the air breathing in again. And as you breathe out, listen to the air coming out. And let's do this one more time. Breathe in, listening to the air as it comes into through your nose into your lungs. And now, as you breathe out, listen to the air leaving your lungs and coming out your nose. And then the next thing I did is I continued my breathing, but I actually concentrated on feeling my chest and stomach expand and contract. And so let's do that 3 times together also. Let's, as we breathe in, concentrate on feeling your chest expand. And now, as you breathe out, listen to your chest contract or feel your chest contract. Now, feel your chest expand as you breathe in. Now, feel your chest contract as you breathe out. And let's do this one more time. Feel your chest expand as you breathe in. And feel your chest contract as you breathe out. Now, I always find when I do that, my whole body just feels calmer. And partially it's by changing where I'm focusing my attention onto something else, which gives my brain and my body the chance to flush out all those stress hormones. And so I'm just able to be a little bit more relaxed. And then the next thing I did is once I started feeling a little bit more relaxed, I did some self-talk. And in order to demonstrate that, I think what I'm going to do is so that you know the difference. I'm going to put on this hat. I'm going to try to put on this hat. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that. Okay, well, I'll put on this hat and hold it down like this while I'm doing the talk to myself, the suggestions, and then I'm going to take the hat off as I'm explaining how my reaction is going to be. So I would do self-talk, the self-talk that can calm me down. This technique is to get me focused on things that I've done before where I've overcome adversity. So the first thing I would say to myself is, well, uh, Mitch, just think back. Have you ever done things in the past that were really, really difficult, where you thought you might not be able to finish them, or you thought you might not be able to conclude them, and you were anxious about them? And yeah, I think we all can do that. For myself, I'm thinking, well, I created all the mind shifting courses, three different mind shifting courses, and I could have given up any time as I was creating those. And then just very recently, I just hosted Thanksgiving for 30 people here with all the cooking and all the setup, and organizing different people doing different tasks. And I was sure it wasn't going to work out, but it did. And then just writing the mind shifting book, I almost stopped about two or three times. So yeah, so those are some of the things that I've done. And then back to questioning myself. Well, let me ask you another question. How great did it feel when you did accomplish those things? And I have to say, when the book that just came out, when yesterday I took a look on Amazon and I saw that the book was available for sale, it's like I felt pretty darn good. Like I did it. So when I taught the course, when I finished the first mind shifting course, and the in that case I was teaching undergraduates, when they stood up and cheered, it was like, yes, something I've helped people learn how to think better. So yeah, when I accomplished those things that I didn't think I could do, I really felt great. Then, well, are you proud of yourself that you did those things? It's like, yeah, I think I'm proud of myself. I think I celebrated. Yeah, yeah, I am proud of myself. Well, when you were in doubt and you thought you'd give up, what did you do in order to persist and keep on doing it and not stop? And I was like, well, what I did is I kept in mind that what I was doing was actually going to be helping people, that I was going to enjoy it, and that they were going to enjoy it. So, in other words, by imagining how you would feel at the end, you were able to resist the fear and anxiety that you felt about doing those. Isn't that really what happened? It's like, yes, that's exactly what I felt. Well, now that you know that you've done this with past events, do you think that you could do that with this event also? Do you think that you could think how great you're going to feel after the 30 minutes is over and you've actually accomplished it, and people probably aren't going to be bored? So, yeah, I can imagine after the 30 minutes that I'll feel great about accomplishing it. And I guess when I listen to it, most likely I'm going to listen to it and I'm going to feel, you know, something that was pretty not bad. So, how do you feel about it now? And my response was, well, I feel like I could probably do this. I'm looking, I'm actually looking forward to seeing if seeing this as a challenge. Well, chances are you're going to have doubts between now and when you actually do it. So, what doubts do you think that you have? I would say, I said to myself, well, I guess one of the doubts is that I'm going to go back to what my wife said, which is that nobody's going to want to listen to me for 30 minutes. Well, have you ever talked for 30 minutes before and people actually listen to you? Well, yeah, I've taught courses where I've taught for 30 minutes. I've spoken at conferences. So I guess I could really do this. So if between now and when this event starts, you start having doubts about this, how are you going to react? Well, I think the way I'll react is to think about the times that I've done this in the past, that times that I've had challenges in the past and I've overcome them, and the times where I've talked in the past and I've been able to talk and people have found it interesting. And so now, how do you feel about it? And um, yeah, at that point, I felt that I could do it. So basically, the two techniques that we covered last time, we covered the technique with Kevin Honeycutt, where we talked about the sage perspective. In this time, what we used is to think about times in the past where you've succeeded. And that's something that we all can do. When we're going into something and we're thinking, I don't know that I can do this. When we have anxiety, when we have these fears, we can go back and actually think about the times where we've had fears and anxieties before, when we've persisted, how happy we were at the end, how much we learned by doing it anyhow, what we've accomplished, what we're proud about. And in thinking about those past events, we can use those past events in order to propel us forward. And that's really the message that I wanted to get across, and show you how I do that with myself. Maybe by going through those questions yourself, um, y- you can use those questions when you detect other people, like if you have children and they're anxious, or you have a spouse or coworkers or friends and they get anxious. Maybe you can do that with them, and maybe you can do that with yourself as well. Is ask yourself, what were the things that I'm most proud about? Where I What were the occasions as I was doing those where I had anxiety or fears? How was I able to overcome them? What was it like when I finished them? How proud am I about doing this? And then once the fear and anxiety starts going away, to then what I would call it future pacing. It's like, well, and your anxiety is probably going to surface again. How are you going to overcome that anxiety when it does surface the next time? And so, going through those steps with yourself, or going through those steps with other people to help them, is something that you'll be able to do as well. So, some of the takeaways that I'd like you to take away from this session is, it's human to have anxiety or fear about doing something new. Whether that something new is closing a sale, whether it's asking for something, whether it's setting boundaries, whether it's stating your needs, anytime we do something like that, it's only human to have some anxiety or fear about it, and that's a limbic reaction. Second thing to take away is that we can't fight it. Okay, that um, that we can't just steel ourselves and say, "Come on, you idiot, you can overcome this." Or it's also hard to be prepared to overcome the fear and anxiety if we don't spend some time in preparation. So, how do you prepare? Well, you prepare by first of all calming yourself through some type of distraction. We just did it with breathing. And then you start asking, one technique would be to start asking yourself about things that you've done where you have had anxiety in the past, but you've done them anyhow, and they've worked out, and how you felt afterwards. For more techniques on being able to do this with others, there's the book. Let me get the QR code back up here. The conflict and collaboration book, and again, you can download that. For some techniques on that are taken from the book, there's a QR code here about 50 questions that can change minds, and so that's a free download that gives you a preview of some of the things that are done in the book. And finally, I'd like to leave you with that next week. I'm going to be talking with a really interesting person, Bridget Jones, who works with colleges and universities and with counselors. And we're going to be talking about mindsets where the counselors are counseling students who have mindsets that are holding them back, and also how Bridget works with the counselors themselves with their own mindsets in order to give them the confidence to be able to move forward. So I hope that this wasn't terrible, and that you all found this interesting. And looking forward to next week with my guest Bridget Jones. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at mindshiftingwithmitch.com, and hope to see you all next week. So it's Mitch Weisberg signing off.